Okay, let's unpack this. Picture this. You're introduced to someone, you have a genuinely good conversation, maybe even talk about something interesting, and then, like, not even 5 minutes later, their name has just, poof, vanished.
Hmm.
It's that moment where you feel like you should know, you want to know, but the information gremlins in your brain have just clocked off.
It's such a specific feeling, isn't it? That little wave of name-based amnesia. Very human.
Exactly. And that little pang of social awkwardness is precisely where we're diving in today. We've got a really interesting bit of real life interaction for you. It's from a YouTube video, Learn English Quickly with Podcast English Learning Conversation, Episode 1 by English Podcast Zone.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of their stuff. It's actually pretty good for hearing, natural spoken English.
Totally agree. So the scene is this. Nick and Anna, they bump into each other again. They'd met before at a conference,
Right.
had a decent chat apparently about foreign investment, seemed to hit it off okay. And then, well, the inevitable happens. Nick just completely blanks on Anna's name.
Ah, the classic second meeting stumble. Happens to the best of us.
It really does. Now, our aim here isn't just to, cringe along with Nick's slightly awkward moment, though maybe a little bit of that,
Maybe.
but we're going to really dig into the specific language they use to sort of navigate this, the communication strategies that pop up, and pull out some insights that you can actually use. It's about more than just the forgotten name. It's about how they deal with it.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how even a simple, everyday chat like this can show you so much about communication tactics and, well, the little details of language.
Okay, so let's just face the awkwardness head on. The elephant in the room that, ironically, someone forgot. You can almost feel it when Nick says, "You know what? This is really embarrassing, but your name has just slipped my mind."
Mm.
Yeah.
And that phrase slipped my mind. It's quite a clever bit of language, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it admits you forgot, obviously, but it frames it as something accidental, almost passive, like it
Mm.
just floated away rather than I failed to remember. It softens the blow.
That's a great point. It does. And Anna's response is just as interesting. She immediately goes, "Don't worry about it. Happens to me all the time. I'm terrible with names too."
Yes, that's textbook diffusion right there.
Totally. It's like you can hear the collective sigh of relief, that feeling of, "Oh, thank goodness it's not just me."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She normalizes it straight away, makes Nick feel less, well, silly, I suppose.
Mhm.
It's a really smart way to keep the connection going and stop it getting more awkward.
Which actually leads us perfectly to our first language takeaway here. The
Hmm.
phrase, "in a bit of a hurry." Nick uses it later. He says, I'm in a bit of a hurry, but here's my card. We should definitely meet up again." So what does that phrase really signal? In a bit of a hurry.
Well, basically, it just means time's short. They need to get going pretty soon.
Mm.
The video gives some decent examples, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you drive faster? I'm in a bit of a hurry. Or maybe I can't talk right now. I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Yeah.
And even I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'll check these files later, see how it works. It suggests it's just a temporary thing, not that they don't want to talk.
Right. It's like a polite exit strategy. Can't stay long now, but often implies, like Nick does with the card, let's reconnect later.
Exactly.
And speaking of the card, Anna then asks, "Sure, you still have my contact details, right?" Now, contact details, another really useful term.
Yeah, definitely. Contact details is just the overall term for all the info you need to get in touch, right? Name, phone, email, maybe social media handles these days.
Sure.
And like the video says, it's usually all there on a business card. Very convenient.
Makes total sense. Okay, and this loops us back to Nick's little memory lapse and our third language point. Slip my mind. That's his explanation, his reason for forgetting Anna's name.
Right. And like we touched on, slip my mind just means you forgot something accidentally. It wasn't deliberate. It just wasn't there when you reached for it. The video has a couple of really relatable examples.
The one?
One is, I'm sorry I forgot to respond to your email. It just slipped my mind. We've all
Mhm.
done that.
Oh, yeah? Guilty.
And the other one, the really dreaded one, don't you know what day it is today? Oh, it's your birthday. It completely slipped my mind.
Ooh, yeah. That's a tough one. Been there probably on both sides, unfortunately.
Haven't we all?
Okay, so we've got these phrases. In a bit of a hurry, contact details slipped my mind. Now, let's look at how these and others work together in like a real conversation flow. The video calls this bit putting it together. First up, "Around here," Nick asks Anna, "what are you doing in this neighborhood? Do you live around here?"
Yeah, around here.
Yeah.
Very common. Just means nearby in this general area.
Uh.
Like if you were lost, you may ask, excuse me, is there a bank around here?
Yeah. Simple enough And the video points out some variations too, which is quite neat. Like you could say something is right around the corner.
Meaning very, very close, like next street maybe.
Exactly. Or you could use around there for a slightly bigger, less specific area. Like Los Angeles is a great city. I used to live around there.
Right. Gives a sense of the vicinity without being super precise. It's about dialing the specificity up or down.
Nice. Okay, next phrase in this section. Terrible with. Anna uses it, remember? Don't worry about it. I'm terrible with names too. So what's the deal with being terrible with something?
It basically just means you have a real persistent lack of skill or ability in that specific thing. The video gives some good examples for this too.
Like what?
You're terrible with numbers, you can never balance your checkbook. Or I'm terrible with directions, thank goodness for GPS. And the one Anna used, I'm terrible with names, or even I'm terrible with faces. You meet someone a few times and still blank when you see them somewhere unexpected.
Ah, yes, I relate to that one. Actually, it's funny. One of the video hosts says they're terrible with faces, and the other says they're terrible with numbers.
See, it's clearly a common thing.
Right.
We all have our weak spots.
We do. And like Anna showed, admitting you're terrible with something can actually be a good way to like build a connection, makes the other person feel, less alone in their own little failings.
Exactly. Shared imperfection, right.
Okay, so then the video moves into what it calls a fluency builder section. This is about sounding more natural, more like a native speaker, I guess. And the phrase they highlight is, how's it going? Anna says it right at the start of the second meeting. Nick, how's it going?
Yeah. And the point is, well, how are you, or how are you doing, are perfectly fine, totally correct. How's it going? Just often sounds a bit more natural and casual in everyday spoken English. It sort of flows better sometimes.
It does feel a bit more relaxed, doesn't it? Like something you'd say to someone you already know, even just slightly. Instead of more formal, how are you today? You might just say, hey, how's it going?
Exactly. It's one of those small things that just adds to sounding, well, less like you're reading from a textbook.
Good point. Now, we can't really talk about forgetting names without touching on some, real-life stories and actual strategies, can we?
Definitely not.
So one of the hosts in the video shares this brilliantly awkward story about being at a family reunion, completely blanking on a cousin's name or something.
Oh, no.
And having to, subtly ask another cousin for help just to avoid total embarrassment.
Oh, that's rough. But it really shows, doesn't it? Even with family, sometimes the pressure or the context just makes your brain freeze up.
Absolutely. And then they shift to some really practical tips for when this happens in, say, a work setting, which, let's face it, is probably quite common. What were their main strategies?
Well, the classic one is asking for a business card.
Ah, yes. Smooth.
Yeah, it's a normal thing to do in professional contexts, and bingo, the name's right there. No confession needed. Another good one they mentioned is asking them to jot down their email address, because often their full name is right there in the email address itself, or at least in the signature block they might add. Again, gets you the info without having to say, sorry, who are you again?
Those are genuinely useful, actually. Very subtle ways to recover. And to kind of hammer all this home, the video has this review section at the end, an English pod audio review.
Right, I saw that.
It's quite a neat format. You hear the meaning of a word or phrase, and then you get a pause to say it yourself.
That active recall part is really good for making things stick, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And in this review bit, they go over all the key stuff we've talked about. How's it going? Around here, around the corner, in a bit of a hurry, contact details, slip my mind, terrible with, around there. Plus a few extras like recognize, acquaintance, in a rush, and forgetful. They even give example sentences for each one.
That repetition and seeing it in different contexts is really key for actually learning to use new words and phrases, not just recognize them.
Definitely. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive then, what are the main things, the key takeaways maybe, from looking at this short, slightly awkward interaction?
Well, I think firstly, it's just reassuring, isn't it? Knowing that those moments, like forgetting a name, they happen a lot. You're really not alone if that happens to you.
Good point. Lessens the shame factor a bit.
Exactly. Secondly, the actual language matters. Those little phrases like slip my mind or owning a weakness like I'm terrible with names, they're real tools, tools for keeping things smooth and minimizing the cringe.
Right. Social lubricants almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And finally, having a couple of practical tricks up your sleeve, like the business card thing, can actually save you in the moment, give you a way out.
Absolutely. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Even really simple everyday chats are like packed with lessons about language and just how we communicate with each other.
For sure. And maybe that leaves us with a final thought for you listening. What other everyday interactions, things that seem totally mundane, are actually full of these subtle signals and communication tricks that maybe we don't usually notice?
Hmm.
How could paying a bit more attention to those moments, those little exchanges, maybe sharpen not just your language skills, but maybe also how well you connect with people and communicate in, well, all sorts of situations? Something to think about.